Hello everyone. Welcome back to Speak English with Anurag. I'm Anurag, and today we're going to talk about something that could completely change the way you learn and use English. We're going to explore the best ways to become truly fluent in English, moving step by step from a complete beginner level all the way to an advanced, confident speaker. This isn't just about memorizing grammar rules or cramming long vocabulary lists. This is about building English into your daily life, training your brain to think in English and practicing in ways that actually stick. If you stay with me from start to finish, you're not just going to hear advice, you're going to have a clear path you can follow and practical exercises you can start using today. When you're at the beginning of your English learning journey, it can feel overwhelming. There are so many words you don't know, so many grammar structures you haven't learned, and sometimes it's hard to even make one complete sentence without stopping. I want you to know that's completely normal. Every single fluent speaker you hear today was once in that same place. The key is to accept where you are and then commit to building small, consistent habits that push you forward a little every day. Imagine English like a small plant. You can't make it grow in one day, but if you give it sunlight, water, and care every day, it will grow stronger without you even noticing at first. Let's start with one of the most powerful habits, daily listening. Listening is the input your brain needs to get familiar with the sounds, rhythm, and patterns of English. I recommend choosing one source of slow, clear English every day and just letting yourself absorb it without pressure. It could be an audio lesson, a slow-paced YouTube video, or even a short conversation recording. As you listen, try not to translate every word. Just focus on understanding the main idea and letting your ears get comfortable with the sound of English. For example, I might say slowly, "I'm going to the store to buy some fruit." You repeat it in your head without translating. The more you do this, the more natural English will feel. Now, let's turn this into a little practice together. I'm going to say a sentence and I want you to repeat it exactly as I say it. Don't change anything. Don't rush. Ready? Today is a beautiful day and I feel happy to be learning English. One more time slowly. Today is a beautiful day and I feel happy to be learning English. Excellent. Now, imagine you're saying that to a friend. Say it with a smile in your voice, like you're sharing something positive. One of the best ways to speed up your progress is to combine listening with shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a sentence in English and then you speak it immediately after, copying the speaker's rhythm and tone as closely as you can. And watching people outside the window. How would you describe it? You might say, "I am sitting in a cafe drinking hot coffee and watching people walk by." Now, let's add a feeling. I am sitting in a cafe drinking hot coffee and feeling relaxed as I watch people walk by. That extra detail makes your English sound more natural, and expressive vocabulary building is also a key part of reaching fluency. But many learners make the mistake of memorizing long lists of random words. The problem is if you don't see or use those words in real situations, you'll forget them quickly. Instead, learn words in context. This means you focus on words and phrases that come from something you've heard, read, or experienced in English. For example, if you hear the phrase "take your time" in a TV show, learn it as a whole phrase and practice it in different sentences. Take your time. There's no rush. I'll wait. Take your time. You can take your time to decide. By doing this, you remember not just the word, but also how it's actually used in real conversations. Another powerful tool is speaking with yourself. Yes, it might feel strange at first, but it's one of the best ways to practice without needing a partner. You can speak out loud about your plans for the day, describe what you see, or even imagine a conversation with someone. The more you do it, the more your brain gets used to producing English automatically. Here's a quick exercise you can try right now. Look around your room and describe 5 things you see in English. For example, I see a red chair in the corner. There's a blue book on the table. The window is open and I can hear birds. My phone is on the desk beside my laptop. The floor is clean and shiny. Simple sentences like these train your brain to think in English without pressure. One of the biggest challenges for learners moving from beginner to advanced is confidence. Confidence in speaking comes from 2 things. Knowing the words and structures you need and training your mouth and mind to use them without fear. You can have perfect grammar knowledge, but if you freeze when it's time to speak, you won't sound fluent. That's why you must combine knowledge learning with speaking practice every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Think of it like playing a sport. Reading about how to play basketball won't help you unless you actually hold the ball and practice shooting. Here's a practice you can try to build confidence. Choose a simple topic like my favorite food and speak about it for 1 full minute without stopping. Don't worry if you repeat yourself or make small mistakes. The goal is to keep speaking. You might say, my favorite food is pizza. I like pizza because it has cheese, tomato sauce, and movie. I'm going to call my friend. This way, you're practicing real-life phrases the way they're actually spoken. Writing in English every day will also push you forward, especially if you don't have many speaking opportunities. Keep a short daily journal where you write about your day, your thoughts, or your plans in English. It doesn't have to be long. Even 5 sentences are enough. This helps you think in English, build sentences, and notice grammar patterns. And if you read your writing out loud afterward, you turn it into a speaking exercise, too. For example, you might write, today, I went to the park. The weather was sunny and warm. I saw children playing and people walking their dogs. I bought ice cream and enjoyed it while sitting on a bench. It was a peaceful day. Reading that aloud gives you speaking and pronunciation practice without needing a conversation partner. Another tip for going from beginner to advanced is to use English in real-life tasks as much as possible. If you like cooking, follow a recipe in English. If you're interested in fitness, watch workout videos in English. If you enjoy games, switch them to English. The more you use English in activities you already love, the less it feels like study. This is one of the fastest ways to build 5 different ways, changing only small details. Let's try with I like walking in the park. You could say, I really like walking in the park. I like walking in the park on sunny days. I like walking in the park with my friends. I like walking in the park in the morning. I like walking in the park when it's quiet. You see, you are repeating the core structure but adding variety. This helps you practice both fluency and flexibility. Another powerful technique is to use language islands. This means you prepare and memorize small chunks of speech about common topics in your life. For example, you might prepare a short introduction about yourself, a description of your job, or an explanation of your hobbies. When someone asks you about these topics, you can respond smoothly without hesitation. Over time, you expand these islands and connect them, creating larger sections of fluent speech. Let's try one together. Imagine you're introducing yourself. You could say, hi, my name is Alex. I live in Madrid and I work as a graphic designer. In my free time, I enjoy hiking, reading, and cooking. Now, try adding more detail. Hi, my name is Alex. I live in Madrid, the capital of Spain, and I work as a graphic designer for a small marketing company. In my free time, I enjoy hiking. Pronouncing these sounds correctly. You can practice words like think, through, this, and that slowly until you get them right. Let's do a quick pronunciation drill together for the sounds. Repeat after me slowly. Think, thought, through, 3. Now for the voiced the sound. This, that, these, those. When you practice, put your tongue lightly between your teeth and push the air out for the soft th in think. For the harder th in this, add a bit of voice to the sound. Another thing to remember is that fluency comes from balance. You need to balance listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If you focus only on listening, you might understand a lot but struggle to speak. If you focus only on writing, you might write well but have trouble with pronunciation. That's why I recommend creating a simple daily routine that includes all 4 skills, even in small amounts. For example, you might listen to a short English audio in the morning, speak for 5 minutes about your day, read 1 page of a book, and write 3 sentences in your journal. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be consistent. Let's practice combining skills. Now, I'll give you a short story. First, listen. Yesterday, I went to the market to buy some fresh vegetables. I bought carrots, tomatoes, and spinach. On my way home, I met an old friend, and we talked for 10 minutes. Now, repeat the story after me. Then try to write it down in your own words. Finally, speak it again, but change some details. For example, Change the place or the things you bought. This type of combined practice helps your brain connect the skills and makes your learning much stronger. Immersion is also a key step for reaching an advanced level. Even if you can't live in an English-speaking country, you can create an English environment around yourself. Change your phone and computer settings to English. Follow English language social media accounts. Watch movies and shows without subtitles. And think about your daily activities in English. The more you surround yourself with the language, the more your brain will treat it as normal and the faster your fluency will grow. Another important step in moving from beginner to advanced English is learning to adapt your language depending on the situation. This is called register. The difference between formal and informal speech, for example, the way you talk to a close friend is not the same as the way you talk in a job interview or a presentation. Knowing when to use casual language and when to use more formal expressions makes you sound much more natural and confident. For instance, with a friend, phrase, "Repeat after me in a question tone. You're coming with us." Now repeat it as a statement with confidence. You're coming with us. Do you hear the difference? The rise in your voice at the end of the question signals uncertainty, while the drop at the end of the statement signals certainty. Small details like this are what make you sound like a more advanced speaker. Expanding your vocabulary with idioms and phrasal verbs will also make your English richer and more natural. Native speakers use them all the time, and understanding them will help you follow conversations more easily. For example, instead of just saying, "I'm very tired," you could say, "I'm worn out." Instead of "let's start," you could say, "let's get going." But remember, you don't need to learn every idiom at once. Choose a few, learn their meaning, and practice using them in your own sentences until they feel natural. For example, with break the ice, you could say, "At the party, I told a joke to break the ice." Or as a teacher, I use a fun game to break the ice with new students. Now, let's do a short practice with phrasal verbs. The phrase "look after" means to take care of someone or something. Repeat after me. I look after my younger brother when my parents are busy. Again, can you look after my plants while I'm away? Next, run out of means to have no more of something. Repeat. We ran out of milk, so I need to go to the store. Again, I ran out of time before I could finish the project. Practicing these in context will help you remember them better than memorizing them in a list. Another advanced skill is paraphrasing, saying the same idea in different words. This is useful when you can't remember a specific word or when you want to make your language more varied. For example, instead of saying "I'm happy," you could say "I'm feeling great" or "I'm in a good mood." Instead of "it's raining a lot," you could say "it's pouring" or "we're having heavy rain." Being able to rephrase your thoughts will keep conversations flowing. Even if you don't have the exact word you want at the moment, here's a paraphrasing exercise for you. I'll give you a sentence and you try to say it in a different way. Sentence. I like reading books. You could say, "I enjoy reading books." Or, "Reading books is one of my hobbies." Another sentence. I don't have much time today. You could say, "I'm short on time today." Or, "My schedule is full today." This kind of practice expands your flexibility in speaking. It's also only understand better, but also speak more naturally yourself. For example, in the sentence, "What are you going to do?" Many native speakers say it as, "What you gonna do?" Active listening helps you catch and understand these natural changes in real speech. Let's practice active listening right now. I'll say a sentence naturally and I want you to repeat it exactly as you hear it without changing it. I'm just going to grab some coffee before we leave. Again, I'm just going to grab some coffee before we leave. Notice how going to became gonna and how I am became I'm. These small adjustments are what makes spoken English flow more smoothly. Another step toward fluency is mastering small talk. Some learners think small talk is unimportant, but in reality, it's the foundation of many conversations. It's how you connect with people, build trust, and create opportunities for deeper discussions. Small talk topics include the weather, daily routines, recent events, or shared experiences. If you can handle small talk confidently, you'll never feel lost. When someone starts a casual conversation with you, for example, you could say, "It's such a nice day today, isn't it?" Or "I've been really busy with work lately." How about you? These openers invite the and a comment. Statement. I tried a new restaurant last night. You might say, oh, really? What kind of food do they serve? I love trying new places, too. Statement. I've started going to the gym in the mornings. You could reply, that's great. How do you find the energy so early? I usually feel sleepy in the morning. With this kind of practice, you'll never run out of things to say. One of the fastest ways to grow your fluency is to think in chunks rather than individual words. Chunks are groups of words that often go together in speech. For example, would you like a cup of tea is a chunk. So is let me think about it or I'll get back to you later. When you learn these ready-made phrases, you don't have to build each sentence word by word. You can just pull the whole phrase from memory. This makes your speech faster and more confident. You can start building your own list of chunks by noticing phrases you hear often and writing them down to practice later. Let's practice chunk learning. Repeat after me. How's it going? Again, how's it going? This is a common chunk for greeting someone casually. Now, it's up to you again. It's up to you. This means the decision is yours. Another I'll let you know. Again, I'll let you know. It's a polite way to say you will give someone information later. Practicing these as whole units will make your speaking more natural. Also, to move from beginner to advanced, you need to improve your listening speed. Native speakers often speak faster than learners expect, and it can be frustrating at first. The best way to train is to start with slower audio and gradually increase the speed. You can also listen to the same audio multiple times. First slowly to understand the meaning, then faster to match real conversation speed. Over time, your brain adapts and processes English more quickly. Here's a quick speed listening drill. I'll read a short passage slowly first, then more quickly. And you try to follow along both times. Slow. This weekend, I'm planning to visit my cousin and spend some time in the countryside. Now, faster. This weekend, I'm planning to visit my cousin and spend some time in the countryside. By doing this regularly, you'll feel more comfortable when listening to real-life English at full speed. To keep improving toward advanced fluency, you should also focus on storytelling. Storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to connect with people in any language. When you tell a story, you're not just giving information, you're naturally. One technique to reduce hesitation is to use filler phrases. These are small expressions you can say while you're thinking about what to say next. They keep the conversation flowing and give you a moment to organize your thoughts. Examples include, well, let me think, you know, that's a good question, and actually. For example, if someone asks you a question you need time to answer, you could say, well, let me think. I guess I would. This makes you sound more natural and confident, just like a native speaker. Let's practice with a simple cue and a question. What's your favorite season and why? You could answer, well, I think my favorite season is autumn. Actually, I love the cool weather and the colorful leaves. Question. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? You might say, that's a good question. I guess I would go to Japan because I'm interested in the culture and the food. These fillers make your speech smoother and more engaging. Another powerful habit is revisiting old material. Many learners focus only on new lessons and forget to review what they've already studied. But each time you review, you notice new things you didn't catch before. Maybe a phrase makes more sense now, or being able to summarize well makes your speech organized and easy to follow. Let's try a quick summarizing practice. I'll give you a short passage and then you say the main idea in 1 or 2 sentences. Passage. Yesterday I met an old friend for lunch. We talked about our school days, shared updates about our lives, and laughed about funny memories. After lunch, we went for a walk in the park and enjoyed the sunny weather. Your summary might be, I met an old friend and we caught up while enjoying a sunny day together. Practicing like this will help you respond more confidently in conversation, especially when someone asks you, so, what happened? Another step toward advanced speaking is expressing opinions and giving reasons. Beginners often just say yes or no without explaining. But in real conversations, people expect you to add more. For example, instead of just saying, I like reading, you could say, I like reading because it helps me relax and learn new things. Adding because and giving a reason makes your answers longer and more interesting. You can also use phrases like in my opinion, I think that, I believe, or from my point of view to start sharing your thoughts naturally. Here's an opinion practice question. Do you prefer working in the morning or at night? You could answer, I prefer studying in a group because we can share ideas and help each other. Practicing this skill will make you sound respectful and confident in discussions. Another area to focus on is expressing emotions and feelings. Beginners often use only basic words like happy, sad, or angry. But advanced speakers have a wider emotional vocabulary which makes their communication richer and more precise. For example, instead of just happy, you might say excited, thrilled, pleased, or grateful. Instead of sad, you could say disappointed, upset, heartbroken, or frustrated. You don't have to memorize every word at once. Just learn a few new ones and start using them in daily conversations. Here's an emotion vocabulary practice. Repeat after me. I'm thrilled to hear that news. Again. I'm thrilled to hear that news. Now. I was disappointed when my plans were cancelled. Again. I was disappointed when my plans were cancelled. By practicing these expressions, you'll find it easier to match your words to the exact feeling you want to share. To continue building fluency, it's useful to practice transitions between ideas. Transitions help your speech flow smoothly instead of sounding like separate unconnected sentences. For example, you can use first of all, on the other hand, for example, as a result, and finally, these small phrases guide the listener through your thoughts and make you sound more organized. For instance, if you're explaining how to learn English, you might say, first of all, you need to practice regularly. For example, you can set aside 15 minutes a day to read or listen in English. On the other hand, if you only practice once a week, it's much harder to improve. Let's practice with a short explanation using transitions. First of all, I start my day with a healthy breakfast. For example, I eat fruit and oatmeal. After that, I take a short walk to get some fresh air. Finally, I begin my work feeling energized. Adding transitions like this will make your English smoother and easier to follow for the listener. Another powerful step in your journey from beginner to advanced is learning how to negotiate meaning when you don't understand something. Even advanced speakers sometimes miss a word or phrase, especially in noisy environments or when talking to someone with a strong accent. The key is to avoid freezing and instead use strategies to keep the conversation going. You can ask for clarification with phrases like, sorry, could you say that again, please? Or, I'm not sure I understand. Could you explain? You can also check your understanding by repeating part of what you heard. So, you mean we're meeting at 3 p.m., right? These small techniques make you sound more confident and help you stay engaged in any conversation. Let's do a quick clarification practice. I'll say something unclear and you respond politely. We'll need to adjust the schedule for tomorrow. You could reply, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Did you say tomorrow? Another one. The meeting will be in the green room. You might say, I'm not sure I caught that. Did you mean the green room? Practicing this will make it easier to respond naturally in real life when you miss something. Fluency also depends on how well you can describe complex ideas simply. This is especially important when speaking to people who may not share your level of English. If you can break down a difficult topic into clear, simple language, you'll communicate effectively with almost anyone. For example, if you want to explain photosynthesis to someone who doesn't know the term, you could say it's the way plants make their own food using sunlight, water, and air. This skill is also helpful in work situations when explaining tasks or instructions. Here's a simplification exercise. Imagine someone asks you what inflation means. You could say, it's when prices go up and the money you have buys less than before. Or if they ask what remote work means, you could explain, it's when you work from home or another place instead of going to an office. This kind of explanation is easy to understand and shows strong communication skills. Another technique to strengthen fluency is mirroring. Mirroring means you repeat some of the words or phrases the other person uses in your reply. This makes conversations feel more connected and natural. For example, if someone says, I love going to the mountains on weekends. You could reply, oh, you love going to the mountains. That sounds amazing. What do you do there? By mirroring, you show interest and keep the conversation flowing without having to think too hard about what to say next. Let's try a mirroring drill. I'll give you a sentence and you start your reply by repeating part of it. Sentence. I started learning Spanish last year. You might reply, you started learning Spanish last year. That's great. How is it going? Sentence. I just tried sushi for the first time. You could say, you tried sushi for the first time. How did you like it? This technique works in casual chats and even in professional discussions to keep developing. You should also focus on mastering common conversation topics. There are certain subjects that come up again and again. Work, travel, hobbies, lectures, or news reports. For example, instead of just hearing, we're meeting next week, you want to catch, we're meeting next Thursday at 3 p.m. in the conference room. Here's a detailed listening drill. I'll say a short passage, and you try to repeat as many details as you can. On Saturday, June 10th, Maria is flying to London for a 3-day business trip, staying at the Parkside Hotel near the city centre. What details did you catch? Date, Saturday, June 10th. Name, Maria. Destination, London. Length of trip, 3 days. Hotel, Parkside Hotel near the city centre. Doing this regularly will sharpen your listening and memory skills at the same time. Another great way to push your English from good to advanced is by practicing anticipation. This means training yourself to guess what someone might say next or predict the kind of information you'll hear. This skill keeps you more engaged and makes it easier to respond quick. Lie. For example, if you're listening to a friend telling you about their weekend and they say, "We went to the beach." And you might already expect they'll talk about swimming, relaxing, or enjoying the weather. Even if you guess wrong, your brain is still actively processing and preparing, which is exactly what you want when aiming for fluency. Let's try a quick anticipation practice. I'll start a sentence and you imagine the ending before I say it. Yesterday I went to the supermarket and bought pause. You think of an ending, some fresh fruit and bread for breakfast. Another one. Next weekend I'm planning to pause visit my grandparents in the countryside. This trains your brain to keep up with conversation speed and respond naturally. Building your speaking speed is also important. But speed doesn't mean rushing. It's about speaking smoothly without too many pauses or fillers. You can improve this by practicing speaking for 1 or 2 minutes non-stop on a topic you know well. At first, you might pause a lot, but over time, you'll fill those pauses with natural connecting words instead of stopping completely. For example, if you're talking about your favorite hobby, you could say, "My favorite hobby is gardening. I started gardening about 2 years ago and it has money." This skill helps you control your message and makes your speech sound more engaging. Here's a stress practice. Repeat the sentence after me, changing the stressed word each time. I didn't say she stole the money. Now stress I didn't say she stole the money. Now stress stole. I didn't say she stole the money. Notice how the meaning changes slightly each time. This technique will help you sound more expressive and clear. Also, as you move into advanced speaking, pay attention to linking sounds. In natural speech, words connect together so that the end of one word blends with the beginning of the next. For example, go on sounds like go on and next time can sound like next time. Practicing linking makes your speech smoother and more natural. It also helps you understand native speakers better when they talk quickly. Let's practice linking. Repeat after me slowly. I want to eat. Now say it naturally. I wanna eat. Slowly. Turn off the light. Naturally. Turn off the light. Slowly. What are you doing? Naturally. What you doing? By practicing these, you'll sound more fluent and your listening skills will also improve. Another way to make fast progress is to create many goals for yourself. Instead of just saying, "I want to be fluent," set specific goals like, "I will learn 5 new phrases this week, and use them in conversation." Or, "I will practice speaking for 10 minutes every day for the next month." Small, clear goals keep you motivated and give you a sense of achievement. Over time, these small wins build up into big improvements. Here's a goal-setting exercise. Think about one area of English you want to improve right now. Maybe it's pronunciation, vocabulary, or confidence in speaking. Write down one small clear goal for the week. For example, I will practice 10 phrasal verbs and use each one in a sentence every day. Or I will record myself speaking about my day every evening and listen back to find one thing to improve. These targeted efforts will move you forward much faster than vague study plans. Another important part of reaching an advanced level is learning to adapt your speech depending on who you're talking to. This is called adjusting your register, and it's a sign of true fluency. For example, if you're speaking to a close friend, you might use more casual language, contractions, and even slang. But if you're speaking in a formal setting, like a job interview or a presentation, you'll use more polite expressions, complete sentences, and avoid casual slang. Being able to switch between these styles means you can communicate effectively in any situation. Let's practice this skill together. Imagine you want to ask someone to wait a moment. In casual speech with a friend, you might say, "Hang on a sec." In a formal situation, you could say, "Could you please wait a moment?" Another example, if you're thanking a friend for helping you, you might say, "Thanks a lot. That was awesome." In a formal situation, you could say, "Thank you very much for your assistance." Practicing both versions prepares you for all types of conversations. Another advanced communication skill is using emphasis and pauses to create impact. Pauses are powerful. They give your listener time to process what you're saying and make your speech sound more confident. And many learners try to fill every second with words, but sometimes saying less or saying it more slowly has a stronger effect. For example, if you're telling a story, you can pause before the most important part. "I walked into the room and there it was, the surprise I'd been waiting for." This creates suspense and keeps your listener engaged. Let's do a pause exercise. Repeat after me, keeping the pause where I put it. "I looked out the window, and I couldn't believe what I saw." Again, "I looked out the window, and I couldn't believe what I saw." Practicing intentional pauses like this will make your storytelling much more effective. Fluency also means being able to express the same idea in different ways depending on the context. This flexibility helps when you forget a word or when you need to simplify for someone else. For example, if you can't remember the word exhausted, you can say very tired. If you can't remember delicious, you can say really tasty or it tastes great. By having alternative expressions ready, you can keep speaking without hesitation. Let's do a quick substitution practice. I'll give you a word and you think of another way to say it. Word happy, you could say glad. Pleased or delighted. Word big, you could say large, huge, or massive. Word beautiful, you might say lovely, pretty, or gorgeous. This skill will make your English sound richer and help you avoid repetition. Another step toward advanced speaking is being able to give clear instructions. This is especially important in work situations or when helping someone understand a process. Clear instructions are short, direct, and often use sequence words like first, next, then, and finally. For example, if you're explaining how to make tea, you could say, "First, boil some water. Next, put the tea bag in a cup. Then, pour the hot water into the cup. Finally, wait a few minutes before drinking." This clear structure makes it easy for anyone to follow your instructions. Let's practice giving instructions. I'll give you a task and you explain how to do it. Task: how to send an email. You might say, "First, open your email program. Next, click on Compose. Then type the recipient's address, the subject, and your message. Finally, click Send." Practicing like this will improve your clarity and confidence. Finally, an advanced speaker can adapt to unexpected changes in a conversation. Sometimes people change topics suddenly, or they might ask you something you weren't prepared for. In these moments, using transition phrases helps you move smoothly into the new topic. Phrases like "that reminds me of," "speaking of," or "by the way," can make topic changes sound natural. For example, if someone is talking about food and you remember a funny story about cooking, you can say, "Speaking of food, I once tried to make a cake and completely forgot the sugar." This keeps the conversation flowing and shows you can handle changes easily. As you approach advanced fluency, it's also important to be able to handle conversations that go deeper than everyday small talk. This means discussing abstract topics like goals, dreams, culture, opinions, and even world events. These conversations require more precise vocabulary and the ability to explain your thoughts clearly. For example, instead of simply saying, "I want to learn English to get practice storytelling with connectors." Topic: a memorable day in your life. You might say, one of the most memorable days of my life was my graduation day. I woke up early because I was too excited to sleep. When I arrived at the ceremony, I saw all my friends in their gowns and we took lots of photos. After that, my family and I went to a nice restaurant to celebrate. By adding details and smooth transitions, you make your English sound fluent and engaging. At an advanced level, you should also be able to express uncertainty and possibility politely. In English, we often soften statements when we're not 100% sure. For example, instead of saying "it will rain tomorrow," you might say "it might rain tomorrow," or "there's a chance it will rain tomorrow." You can also use phrases like "I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like," or "I would guess that." This helps you sound more natural and respect in conversation. Here's a short uncertainty practice. Repeat after me. "I'm not entirely sure, but I think the meeting is at 10 a.m. again. It seems like she's enjoying the new job. There's a chance we'll have to reschedule." Using these phrases will help you in both casual and professional contexts. Another advanced skill is summarizing someone else's point before responding. This shows you were listening carefully and helps avoid misunderstandings. For example, if someone says, "I think we should focus on marketing before launching the product," you could respond, "So, you're saying we should work on marketing first and then launch?" I can see how that could help. This technique keeps conversations clear and shows respect for the other person's ideas. Finally, remember that becoming fluent from beginner to advanced is not just about how much English you know, it's about how consistently you use it. Set aside time each day to listen, speak, read, and write. Use English in real situations, even if it's just talking to yourself while cooking or writing your to-do list in English. Celebrate small wins like using a new phrase correctly or understanding a fast conversation. And don't forget to enjoy the journey. Learning a language opens doors to new friendships, opportunities, and experiences that can change your life. So as you keep practicing, remember to listen actively, speak daily, read widely, write often, and push yourself to try new topics and situations. Keep building your vocabulary in context. Repeat phrases until they feel natural. And most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is a step forward. And with every word you speak, you're not just learning English, you're becoming the confident, advanced communicator you've always wanted to be. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this journey from beginner to advanced fluency and that you found ideas and exercises you can start using right away. If you enjoyed this lesson and want to keep improving with me, make sure you subscribe to the channel so we can continue learning together every week. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.